Picture this. You're handed the keys to your grandmother's old house in a quiet little town, expecting a fresh start. Instead, you uncover a secret so dark it changes everything you thought you knew about your family. Welcome to Millbrook, a place where smiles hide sins and the past refuses to stay buried. This is the story of Eliza Bennett, a journalist who stumbled into a mystery that's equal parts chilling and heartbreaking. Stick with us, because this tale of 7 lost girls in a town's complicity will keep you hooked until the final revelation. Eliza Bennett is no stranger to tough stories. As a freelance journalist, she's made a name for herself digging into cold cases and solved murders, missing persons, the kind of mysteries that linger like ghosts. But her latest expose on a corrupt small-town police department left her with more enemies than paychecks. Broke, burned out, and a little lost, she returns to Millbrook in 2023 when her grandmother, Eleanor Bennett, passes away, leaving her a grand but eerie Victorian house on Willow Lane. Millbrook is the kind of place where everyone knows your business grocery, store chats linger, and neighbors wave from porches. But Eliza left for college years ago, vowing never to return. Now, she's back, not just for the house, but to escape the fallout of her last story. The house is a time capsule, faded floral wallpaper, antique furniture draped in dusty sheets, and the faint scent of lavender and old books. Eleanor was Millbrook's librarian for over 40 years, a beloved figure with a passion for literature. But as Eliza cleans, she feels the weight of the house, its creaks and groans almost whispering. In the attic, buried under moth-eaten blankets, she finds an ornate wooden chest. Its lock rusted but sealed tight. With a crowbar, she pries it open, revealing 7 leather-bound journals, each a different color: red, blue, green, purple, yellow, orange, and black. Each cover bears a girl's name in elegant gold script: Emily, Sarah, Rebecca, Violet, Charlotte, Abigail, and Lily. Liz never heard of them. Her grandmother never mentioned fostering orphans. Curiosity piqued, she opens Emily's red journal and begins to read. The entries, starting in April 1972, paint a picture of 7 orphan girls from St. Agnes Home for Girls, taken in by Eleanor. At first, it's charming lessons in the parlor, games in the garden, better food than the orphanage. Emily writes, Mrs. Bennett says we're to call her grandmother, though we're not related. She calls us her special girls, but the tone shifts. Sarah's blue journal mentions strange noises from the basement. Violet's purple journal hints at a final lesson that fills her with dread. Each girl's entries end abruptly, as if they vanish mid-sentence. Eliz's journalistic instincts kick in. Who were these girls? Why did they disappear? And why were their journals hidden away? Eliz's no stranger to chasing leads, but this mystery feels different, personal. She heads to the Millbrook Public Library, where Eleanor spent decades shaping the town's love for books. There, she meets Mrs. Martha Pendleton, a librarian in her 60s who worked alongside Eleanor. Martha greets her warmly, reminiscing about Eleanor's legacy, but when Eliza mentions the girls' names, Martha's smile falters. Oh, those poor dears, she says, claiming they were troubled orphans adopted into good homes. Her quick dismissal feels rehearsed, and Eliza's gut tells her there's more to the story. Undeterred, Eliza visits the town hall, hoping for adoption records. The clerk, a bored young man, informs her that 1970s records are sealed under privacy laws, requiring a court order. When she asks about missing persons reports from that era, he raises an eyebrow, asking if she's writing a book. A discreet $20 bill changes his tune, and he returns with a single folder containing a 1973 Millbrook Gazette clipping. It describes a fire that destroyed a shed on Eleanor's property, with Fire Chief Robert Miller noting strange symbols on the remains. A handwritten police note mentions an occult connection, but no follow-up. The clerk shrugs, saying St. Agnes burned down in 1975, leaving no records. Eliza's suspicions grow. Millbrook is hiding something. Back at the house, Eliza pores over the journals, piecing together a chilling timeline. From 1972 to 1973, Eleanor took in one girl at a time, teaching them not just math and literature, but the old ways, herbs, rituals, and moonlit ceremonies. Sarah's final entry, dated July 19, 1972, reads, Grandmother showed me the special room. She says I'm ready for the final lesson. I don't want to go, but she says I'll leave Willow Lane forever if I pass. The entry cuts off. Rebecca's journal ends in October 1972. Violet's in January 1973, and so on, each girl vanishing after a cryptic mention of a test. Eliza's heart races as she uncovers a leather-bound book in Eleanor's study, detailing a renewal ritual to harness the essence of innocence for youth and vitality. 7 girls, 7 sacrifices dot in the basement. Eliza finds a hidden door behind a mismatched stone wall. Inside, a circular room with a stone altar bears the same symbols from the fire report. A second chest contains 7 cloth dolls, each with a lock of hair blonde, red, black, brown, and beneath them, small human bones. Eliza's world shatters. Her grandmother, the woman who taught her to read, was a murderer. Using these girls in a twisted ritual to defy aging, Eleanor, born in 1910, lived into her 90s with unnatural vigor. The evidence is undeniable, but the truth is unthinkable. Reeling from her discovery, Eliza faces a moral dilemma. The murders happened over 50 years ago, and Eleanor is dead. Should she expose her grandmother's crimes, tarnishing her memory and shaking Millbrook? But the journals demand justice, and Eliza can't ignore the girls' voices. Then, a knock at the door. Through the peephole, she sees Martha Pendleton, her face grim. Against her better judgment, Eliza lets her in. Martha admits she helped Eleanor hide the journals after Lily, the last girl, disappeared. It wasn't supposed to happen that way, she says, claiming the ritual was meant to be symbolic, a transfer of vitality through meditation. But it became literal, and Eleanor couldn't stop. The town, including the police chief and mayor, benefited from her blessings, healthier crops, longer lives, and turned a blind eye. Martha reveals a chilling truth. The town sees Eliza as Eleanor's successor. They've chosen 7 new girls from the Sunshine Home for Girls, a rebuilt St. Agnes. Worse, Eleanor began transferring her occult power to Eliza through dreams before her death, causing headaches and a strange hunger. Eliza feels it a pull toward power, tempting her with immortality. Martha urges her to embrace it, but Eliza refuses, horrified by the idea of continuing this cycle of death. This scenario mirrors real-life cases where communities protect predators. In the 1980s, the McMartin preschool case in California saw allegations of ritual abuse dismissed as mass hysteria, but later investigations uncovered disturbing evidence of cover-ups. Small towns often close ranks to protect their own, especially when a figure like Eleanor is respected. Librarian holds sway. Her influence recalls cult leaders like Jim Jones, who convinced nearly 1,000 followers to die in Jonestown in 1978, believing his vision was for the greater good. Millbrook's complicity shows how charisma and promises of prosperity can blind people to evil. Eliza's fight isn't just against her grandmother's legacy, it's against the town's willingness to sacrifice the vulnerable. The journals mention a special room and a counterspell by Lily, the last girl. Eliza returns to the basement, finding Lily's ghost among the 7 girls' spirits. Bound to the house, Lily guides her to a garden marker, a carved lily, where Eliza unearths a metal box with Eleanor's diary and dried herbs. The diary reveals Eleanor's decades-long ritual, targeting orphans no one would miss, and her plan to make Eliza her vessel. Lily's diary notes a counterspell to free the spirits, requiring a Bennett's blood. Eliza, shaken but resolute, prepares to break the cycle under Lily's guidance. Eliza prepares the counterspell on the night of a new moon. She sprinkles the herbs from Lily's vial onto the altar, lights them, and chants from Eleanor's diary in a language she instinctively understands. The air thickens, the flames turn blue, then purple, and the 7 ghosts glow brighter, their joy palpable as their bonds weaken. Eliza feels a tearing pain as the power Eleanor planted in her is ripped away. With a thunderous crack, the flames engulf her in cold fire, and the world fades to black. She wakes to sunlight streaming through uncovered basement windows. The ritual room is gone, replaced by an ordinary corner with 7 indentations in the dirt, as if bodies were recently removed. In the garden, 7 new flowers bloom: roses, lilies, violets, daisies, pansies, tulips, daffodils, marking the girls' freedom. But the victory is incomplete. Martha mentioned new girls, and the town's magic persists, tied to an ancient grimoire. Eliza's struggle echoes real-world whistleblowers who risk everything to expose truth. Consider Karen Silkwood, a 1970s chemical technician who uncovered safety violations at a nuclear plant, only to die mysteriously before testifying. Her courage, like Eliza's, challenged powerful systems. In Millbrook, the town's leaders police Mayor, council protect the ritual's legacy, erasing records and gaslighting investigators. When Eliza reports her findings to the state police, they claim the house burned down and no records of Eleanor or Martha exist. Yet, driving back to Millbrook, she sees the house intact, with robed figures inside. Preparing a new cycle with the young girl, Lily's ghost appears again, warning that Eliza's dormant power makes her a target. The grimoire, the source of the ritual, must be destroyed. Lily suggests James Miller, son of the 1973 fire chief, might know its location. Eliza tracks him to Miller's Rarities, a bookstore. James, an elderly man, confirms his family's role as record keepers, resisting to the town's magic via protective rooms. He reveals Martha Pendleton, Eleanor's closest ally, holds the grimoire, protected by blood magic only a Bennett can touch. Eliza's resolve hardens. She must destroy it to save the new girls. James warns that entering Millbrook risks detection, as the town's magic senses Bennett's. While Eliza has a plan, dreamwalking, using a golden key with Martha's initials. Found in Eleanor's study, James teaches her to navigate the dreamways, a misty realm where reality bends. He draws protective symbols around her bed and gives her a silver bell to anchor her. If she's pulled too deep, Eliza drinks herbal tea, focuses on the key, and sinks into the dreamways. A surreal landscape of shifting shapes. She arrives at the Millbrook Library, where a younger Martha writes in a book. The scene shifts to Martha's burgundy Victorian house, where a hidden bookshelf reveals a small room with the grimoire on a pedestal, its cover pulsing with malevolent energy. Eliza resists its pull, noting its location, but as she turns to leave, Eleanor's spirit appears, radiant and commanding. "You're home, Eliza," she says, tempting her with visions of power. Eliza rejects her, ringing the mental bell to escape, waking with the key's imprint in her palm. This dream walking mirrors real-life phenomena like lucid dreaming, used by some to confront fears or solve problems. In 1985, psychologist Stephen Lobberge's research showed lucid dreamers could control dream narratives, much like Eliza navigates the dreamways. Her resistance to Eleanor's temptation reflects the strength needed to defy inherited trauma. A theme seen in families overcoming generational abuse, like survivors of cults who rebuild their lives. Eliza's mission to destroy the grimoire is both supernatural and deeply human, a fight against a legacy she didn't choose. James confirms the grimoire's location at Martha's house. He proposes a radical solution, a hand-fasting ritual to mingle their bloodlines, temporarily diluting Eliza's Bennett power with his family's resistance. This could let her touch the grimoire without succumbing to its hunger. The ritual involves vows, a cord, and a blood exchange. Eliza feels the hunger cool, like a fire banked by water. They plan to infiltrate Martha's house during her library hours, using Eliza's blood to bypass magical wards. At 10 a.m., Eliza and James meet behind Martha's house on Oak Street. Eliza feels a magical barrier at the gate, but her Bennett blood breaks through, allowing James to follow. Inside, the house smells of herbs and books, eerily like Eleanor's. A photo of young Eleanor and Martha, arm in arm, confirms their deep bond. Eliza finds the hidden bookshelf, presses the switch, and reveals the grimoire's room. The book, bound in human skin from 7 generations' victims, pulses with dark energy. Eliza's hunger surges, but the Miller blood holds it at bay. James hands her a silver dagger and holy water blessed by 7 faiths. Eliza grabs the grimoire, pain searing her arm as it rises. She stabs it, black blood oozing, and pours the holy water, causing it to scream. She sets it ablaze, the flames shifting colors black, green, purple. The hunger vanishes and the book crumbles to ash. The dagger melts, and they sweep the remains into a bag for disposal in running water. Outside, Millbrook feels brighter, the magical veil lifting. This act of destruction parallels real-world efforts to dismantle harmful systems. In 1991, South Africa's apartheid laws were repealed. After decades of activism, much like Eliza's breaking of a centuries-old ritual, her sacrifice of power mirrors whistleblowers like Edward Snowden, who gave up personal safety to expose government surveillance in 2013. These examples show the cost of challenging entrenched power, whether political or supernatural, and the courage required to prioritize justice over personal gain. Eliza and James part ways, but the new girl at the Sunshine home remains at risk. Eliza visits the modern facility, spotting Meline, the girl from her vision, she warns her about Martha, but an alarm interrupts, forcing her to flee. Eliza calls the state police, urging them to check records now that the grimoire's influence is gone. The detective is skeptical, but she plants the seed, knowing the truth will surface. As the town's illusions fade, Eliza leaves Millbrook, journals and diary in tow. Determined to tell the girls' stories, she meets James one last time to sever their handfasting, a simple ritual untying their bond. Over coffee, James explains that without the grimoire, the town's leaders will age normally. Their power fading, justice will come, but slowly. Eliza vows to create a new Bennett legacy, one of truth and healing, not death. A year later, her book, The Missing Daughters of Millbrook, is published. It details the lives of Emily, Sarah, Rebecca, Violet, Charlotte, Abigail, and Liliana's victims, but as brave girls who resisted. The book sparks a state investigation, leading to Martha's arrest and the discovery of 7 skeletons in Eleanor's basement. Finally laid to rest, the Sunshine home closes, and Meline writes to Eliza, thriving with a new foster family. The Victorian house becomes a community center for at-risk youth, a place of hope. This transformation reflects real-world redemption stories. In 2015, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada addressed residential school abuses, giving survivors a platform to heal and educate. Eliza's community center mirrors such efforts, turning a place of pain into one of growth. Her choice to expose the truth, despite personal cost, echoes journalists like Ida B. Wells, who risked her life in the 1890s to document lynchings, reshaping narratives through courage. Eliza's nightmares fade, replaced by a sense of purpose. She sees the girls' spirits one last time, waving by the road, then vanishing among wildflowers. The Bennett legacy is broken, but Eliza's work continues, ensuring no more girls are forgotten. Eliza's story is more than a mystery, it's a testament to the power of truth. By exposing Millbrook's secrets, she gave voice to 7 girls silenced for decades. Her book not only brought justice, but reshaped the town's identity, forcing it to confront its past. This mirrors global movements like #MeToo, started in 2017 by Tarana Burke, which amplified survivors' voices, holding powerful figures accountable. Eliza's courage shows that one person can dismantle a system of silence. No matter how entrenched, the real-world parallels deepen the story's impact. In 2002, the Boston Globe's investigation into Catholic Church abuse, led by the Spotlight team, uncovered decades of cover-ups, much like Millbrook's leaders hid Eleanor's crimes. These cases show how communities can protect predators when fear or loyalty overrides morality. Eliza's refusal to join the cycle, despite temptation, highlights the strength needed to choose humanity over power. Eliza's transformation of the house into a community center reflects a universal truth. Healing begins with acknowledgement. By honoring the girls' stories, she ensures their legacy is one of resilience, not victimhood. This resonates with initiatives like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, founded in 1984, which has reunited thousands of children with families, turning tragedy into hope. Eliza's work reminds us that every lost voice deserves to be found. Eliza's journey wasn't just about uncovering crimes, it was about facing her family's legacy. The Bennett women, for 7 generations, wielded power at a terrible cost. Eliza's choice to destroy the grimoire severed that cycle, but it came with sacrifice. She gave up supernatural gifts, immortality, knowledge, influence for her humanity. This mirrors real-world figures like Malala Yousafzai, who, after surviving a 2012 assassination attempt, chose education over revenge, redefining her legacy. Through advocacy, the town's attempt to erase Eleanor's crimes-altering records. Denying Martha's role reflects how societies rewrite history to avoid guilt. In the 1990s, Japan faced criticism for downplaying wartime atrocities in textbooks. Much like Millbrook's gaslighting, Eliza's persistence ensured the truth broke through, just as historians and activists have fought to preserve accurate narratives. Her book became a beacon, forcing Millbrook to reckon with its past. Eliza's community center stands as a symbol of redemption. By turning a house of horrors into a safe space, she rewrote the Bennett name. This echoes projects like the Equal Justice Initiative's Legacy Museum, opened in 2018, which transforms sites of racial violence into places of education and healing. Eliza's legacy is one of light, proving that even the darkest histories can be reclaimed. Eliza Bennett's story is a call to action. She found 7 journals, uncovered the town's secrets, and chose truth over power. Her journey teaches us that silence enables harm, but one voice can break the cycle. Whether it's exposing a local injustice, supporting a survivor, or simply asking questions others avoid, you have the power to change the narrative. Liz's legacy isn't magic, it's the courage to be human, to honor the forgotten, to build something better. Real-world heroes inspire us to act. In 2020, Darnella Fraser's video of George Floyd's death sparked global demands for justice, showing how one person's action can shift history. Like Eliza, you could be the spark that lights the truth. Start small, listen to a story, share a truth, or support a cause. The missing daughters of Millbrook were silenced for 50 years, but Eliza gave them a voice. What voices will you amplify? If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves a mystery, and subscribe for more tales of truth and redemption. Comment below, what truth are you ready to uncover? Let's keep the conversation alive. Together, we can ensure no story stays buried.